And Mike, you wanted to talk about this. This is a big deal, but for most people, when they get into the issue of trust, like I was with Steven at the time, I think it was 7 grand to get a trust at that time. That was many, many moons ago. And then a few years ago, people will know my friend David Pruitt, who was on with us about the prepping and gardening and all that kind of stuff. And David learned to do his trust, and he says, Tim, these things are going for like $20,000 now. Why? What is? I mean, that's a lot of value you're getting there. Why are people doing it? And why would somebody pay that much money to basically not own their stuff? I mean, I guess I can hear people's minds turning here. Why would they do that?
I don't know. To be honest with you, a trust, every contract that you're in is a trust, and every trust is a contract. Our founding documents to this country are a trust. We are the executors, and the public functionaries are the trustees. We, the people, are the also beneficiaries of the founding documents. So when you break it down from there into your house, your car, and those types of things. Why you would hire an attorney to do this, I don't know. Anybody can write a trust. You just have to take the time and do some research on it. And so what I ended up doing is I modeled my trust example after my company structure. And in 1993, when I created the company and reorganized everything into what it is now, it was 100% against the advice of my attorney and CPA. They thought I was nuts. And so several years later, right around 98, 99, the state of Michigan attempted to pierce the corporate veil, and they lost.
Okay,
And my attorney
for
at the
people who
time,
don't understand what you're saying about a corporate veil and piercing that, can you explain that and why that's a no-no for people to do?
sure. There are different types of businesses. You have an S corp, LLCs, C corps. All of mine are C corps. We have board of directors, we have shareholders, and when the state of Michigan, what they were trying to do by piercing the veil of the corporation is to try and put liability onto the board members, and the stockholders, and take away and strip away our protections and immunities under the corporate veil. And under a C corp, which is the strongest type of veil that you can create, um, they don't have the authority to do that. They cannot hold a board member liable for the actions of the corporation. And that's what they were trying to do. And they're trying to come after our personal assets in doing so. And again, they lost. And so in 2019, I was involved in some other legal actions and regarding some property disputes. And as such, the county of Livingston, because of how I challenged their authority, the judge on the case decided that, well, we're going to penalize me personally and wanted me to pay for their attorney fees. Well, because of how I had everything structured, they could not. They tried 3 times to pierce the veils and come after me personally, and they couldn't do it. So we started talking about trusts and such in our Tuesday group, and I decided, you know what, it's time that people understand how this system works. And so I used how I put the corporate structure together in building the trust. I've reviewed over 100 different trusts. I looked at the verbiage, the terminologies, and I also reviewed the Michigan Trust Code. Most states have some form of trust code. And here in Michigan, our communists in Lansing have been playing games with the Michigan Trust Code to the point that they want full control, personal jurisdiction over all assets, and control over the trustees and beneficiaries of the trust.
Yeah, that's the very
So
definition of communism, isn't it?
yes. And so what we ended up doing was I said, okay, I got to put a stop to this. So I designed the trust I'm going to be talking about tonight to offset their actions so that they cannot pierce the veil of the trust. So that's the history behind it. That's how I came about putting everything together in the fashion that I did. Now, a lot of people think, well, I've got a good buddy who's an attorney, and he wouldn't do anything to hurt me. Well, I got news for you. If he's a bar card attorney, his first obligation is to the court,
Yep.
and you can find that under Corpus Juris Secundum, Volume 7, Section 4. And it states right in there that the attorney, his first obligation is to the court. So when they write these trusts, your wills, and they're doing it in favor of the courts, so that you will have to go to probate. And here in Michigan, we've got some probate judges that are just off the reservation. And what they're doing is basically saying, okay, you have a husband wife situation. They have an elderly parent, and one of the husband wife is the medical power of attorney for that elderly parent. And the judges are removing them, appointing a guardian through the court. And before you know it, that elderly parent has been moved to some nursing home, don't know where. They're given medications that you don't know that what they're giving them, and in the meantime, they're selling all the assets off to pay their attorney fees. And the judges are allowing this to happen. And that's just one minor example. I've been involved with helping a lot of different people try and save their homes and their assets because of these probate courts and probate judges and these attorneys that operate through the probate courts here in Michigan. And they're stealing and robbing everybody blind, taking all the assets and leaving everybody with nothing. And in some cases, actually killing the elderly parents. So this is a serious situation, and a lot of people got to be brought to understand that these attorneys are not your friend, never, and you can't trust them. My dad had a trust. Him and my mom put together a trust back when she was still around, and after she passed, we sat down, reviewed it, and I said, Dad, do you understand that if something happens to you, the attorney becomes in charge of all your assets and everything that happens to you? And he's like, I didn't know that was in there. And so we shredded that thing up and rewrote a new one for him, and that's what he's using now. So I have a template that I put out there for people to review, and um, you can tweak it every whatever way you want. It's a template. It's something that helps you get a way of setting up your trust. I prefer to set up a parent trust with a bunch of subsidiary trusts underneath it, and that way you have multiple layers of protection. You don't want to put everything in just one trust. I had one gal write to me, and she wanted to know, well, if I have multiple cars, what's the difference in benefit of putting them in different trusts versus one trust? Well, if they're all in one trust and you're in a car accident, then all the assets of that trust are tangible. If you have cars in different trusts and you're in a car accident, it's only that one car, that one trust is tangible in the event you're injured or do property damage. So it's a way of layering your protections.
Okay, and yeah, thank you for explaining that because I was wondering the reason for why you have the different trusts and things